It's one of those understandings that you have to really gain in order to really scope the entire, we call it the dream scope, but in order to be able to scope the entire reality. So again, Earth is on this lap. And so when you say something, you can recant it within maybe 3 or 4 days, and then it'll cancel it out before it actually starts to happen. Now, this actually works more in a negative way than it does a positive for most people, because generally they intend to do something amazing, and by the next thought, they've already convinced themselves not to do it. On top of that, to get into words, the words are backwards. So generally what you're saying means opposite to what you're really saying. And this is because the words have deeper meanings, so opposite only means ignorance. It means that you don't understand what you're saying. So what happens is that English language has 26 letters. 26 times 2 is 52. 52 gives us 52 weeks in a year. It also gives us 52 cards in a deck, which is the modern tarot. So that's what I was... 26 times 2 is 52. 52 gives us 52 weeks in a year. Don't understand what you're saying. So what happens is that English language has 26 letters. 26 times 2 is 52. 52 gives us 52 weeks in a year. It also gives us 52 cards in a deck, which is the modern tarot. So that's what I was saying also about these upgrades to this system. This system is not just staying still. It's, what do they call that? It's exponentially multiplying upon itself. So what you get is you get a different geometry, and that's what throws us off. Next lifetime, instead of 5 and 6, which equals 11 being such a big thing, meaning fire and sex, 5 and 6 being together is such a big thing in this reality. In the next reality, maybe it's 8 and 1. And then what happens is that all the geometry on that planet is changed. So all of the entities and things look different. But guess what? There's nothing new. So it only takes pulling back off of all of it, which is the perspective. When you come way out of this thing, you'll see one design. When you fly all the way into it, it takes you to go all the way deep under electron microscope before you see that design again. So we're talking about the point before the Big Bang and then the point after the last part of the Big Bang.
You're welcome.
And so that would get
everybody. You're welcome. Let me just interrupt all you guys too.
Really struck a
You're
chord
welcome.
with myself. He said how you can speak something and you can recant it within 3 days. And how it resonated with me is, and this is to the listening audience, this was actually very much a learning moment for myself and hopefully for you guys. Do you know how many times I've talked myself out of greatness? I was going to do something and, for lack of a better word, punked out, get scared, and didn't go for it. And I'm getting to the point in my life now where no more punking out. I'm going for what I want to go for, and I'm looking to achieve greatness, and I'm speaking it into reality. That just struck a chord with me, brother, but keep going.
Well, I appreciate it, brother. I mean, and also everyone should know, don't get crazy about the words, because it could be your worst enemy. There's much more that rides in intention, because intention was the first language. That's what the baby is using. The baby intends to go to the kitchen. It doesn't say, I'm going to go to the kitchen. It intends to go to the mother. That's why it doesn't say, I need to go to the mother, because it doesn't even have a language. So intention overrides in many cases, but still, be watchful of the words, because they create worlds. And, and it's also a level of power, because remember, what we're talking about with language, and I've talked about this, I think, on one show, but the fallen angels, accordingly, now fallen angel is a being that has had a great power at one point and then doesn't have that power in the stage in which they fall into, for whatever reason they choose to do that. That doesn't always mean that the entities are negative, but some of the stories that have been coming out is that there's some negative entities that have come from another stage of consciousness, which was higher, and then back into a lower stage of consciousness, but what they brought was a language. Now, I believe that personally that language has become a major stumbling block, because it causes arguments and problems with communication. And I've seen this in tons of languages, and the reason is because languages, they move like blocks inside of a mind that's really like a curve. So what happens is that I believe that there's a point in the Old Testament where the God, apparently, who's a Germanic God, who's king, who's the Khan, who's Cohen, who's priest, a priest king. Okay, so you understand, you're dealing with God, the Lord of the earth only. So this being gets pissed off from his high place, which is probably just a castle, right? And decides that those down building the jet, which was basically cycling their energy and actually building the power inside of their body, would accomplish greater things than even that got gooed in his aristocratic or part of it, because that's all the other entities really were, and decided to use language as a confusion tool, meaning it was the actual form of communication, the form of confusion that came to these people that were all on one accord was what? Their language got confused. So then it goes on that then, no matter what they said to each other, it was if they were not saying the same thing and none of them comprehended. And they eventually split up from each other or divided, right? So this is happening everywhere. This is happening in races, people. This is happening in relationships. This is happening with your children. Because of the language that we're using, we're not sitting down, holding the person, taking deep breaths while you're connected to their other center. We're not doing that. We're trying to talk it out. So the talking is only creating more blocks. It's creating more walls or laws, the same words, right? So once that starts going on, then you build up all these walls in your life. Now notice how phi is separated by walls. Phi can be seen in a seashell, by the way. So everyone just go take a seashell. They cut seashell in half, and then you'll see each layer or each section of the seashell is divided by a wall. The wall builds up, and that's what develops the next level of the shell. So this is division, meaning that in the division symbol, you see a straight line in the middle, and then you see a dot on one side indicating a life form or a soul, and a dot on another side indicating another life form or a soul. And then this wall in the middle, meaning that division means that there is another version of you that you are not connected to. And even within the symbolism, percentage is the same thing. Percentage is to divide something, right? Based on its percentage. What do you get? Another dot. If this time it's just on the top left, and then another dot on the bottom right, and then a line between, meaning to divide, to put up a wall in between this world and the world to come. And so that's why these symbols that even you can go deep, you go into physics and you start looking at the symbols, you'll see the language of the ALiEN. He's very intrepid, meaning that there is another life form here that is trying to usurp Homo sapien, which is basically Ubermensch, a super slave. You see what I mean? So there's one, that's what they say, evil has
That's what you thought I was, your super slave. Try to change me into your super slave. I'd rather be the alien super slave than yours, Kathleen. Thank God for bringing me out of that you made me.
In Egypt, in the center point of the pyramid. Let me rewind, because I think there's some commitments maybe listening. Inside of the Great Pyramid, the confined one rests, meaning there was a being that they just called the child, Yaldabaoth, born outside of the pleroma, meaning not born with a mother, that became so destructive for the planet, it was basically trapped in time, which is what a pyramid does. It has an apex or a vortex point that creates a 0 point. This means there's no space and time in that area. And again, what you're seeing on top in Egypt, right, in Kemet, is also on the bottom. It's a diamond. So in the center, there was a being there. So that being was removed by the horned one, Moses. Okay? And the people took upon that God as their God because they were trying to get out of slavery. The Commetans had progressed to a point where they were enslaving everyone who came into Lower Egypt. Okay? So that's the idea and the birth of the slave gods. So if people want to know why are these Jewish, meaning not really Jews, but kind of like it, following Africans, whatever, around the universe, sucking their blood all the time with their Cohens, Liar Cohen, Jared Cohen, all these priests running around sucking the blood of the earth, is because they were imprisoned by our people at certain points. And then they took a being that had a common interest with them, the confined one, and then bought that being out. And that being has been nothing but destruction, just like you see it in the Old Testament. It'll play one being against the other being. If you got to go over there, you're the chosen one. You need to take the land. You're the original. Boom. Now conflict. I'll go with you. I'll go with you means your will. Notice how they had to carry the ark. If something's going to go with you, you don't have to carry it. Okay? So it's deeper metaphors. Menelik, MLK. What meant the horned one? It means Moloch, MLK. So you got an entire species that their codes are being rewritten, and very few to decipher those codes and then come up with some level of deprogramming. And guess what? You get little, if almost any help. People cannot recognize this from David Icke's speech. They can't recognize this from Jeff Rentz and the rest of these people that are out here playing spiritual. But yet, every time they get on the conversation, they have nothing new to say except for what has been dictated to them by the doom and gloom. Oh, this time, this is what we're going to do now. It's going to be a missile. It's going to be a meteor. This is who they killed. This is who they hurt. Man, you got to get into the next stage of things. So I'm already there. And there's many with me that are already there. We're not proclaiming what we also need everyone else to do. It's already been done. It's just about waking up humanity. So notice this. The word bodhisattva, and we're kind of coming to the end here, and you hear a lot of these animals and insects that are in Costa Rica about to get into their nighttime thing. But the reality is a bodhisattva means one who takes a vow to ascend all species. So handle that. Meaning that the ones that were known to hold the bridge, the real Imhotep, was a bridge walker, one who knew how to see in the 4D and in 3D at the same time. So this is difficult. We be wanting to tap out sometimes. So like you said, there's time out for that going back, time out for that fear, because you could have been above the speed of light. But trust me, it's the gauntlet. Like there's nothing here that equals that you won't be putting in the energy and the effort, but it will give you back what you put in hundredfold. Because that's the kind of energy we're dealing with. I'll say this in conclusion so people don't think that I'm demonizing sex and sex. Understand that the level of power that is in reproduction has got us sitting on 8 billion souls. One soul. One soul and 8 billion spirits. Because if you understand a spirit, the difference between a spirit and a soul is, of course, the spirit is an individual being that is disincarnate that still thinks that it's separate. This is what creates a demon. Spirit is a particular group of species. Then you have a demon, and we're here at the end. A demon is been de-manned, meaning the manhood has been taken away. It has no generative principle, and it doesn't have its balance. So understand that when a person dies and leaves the earth, if they leave in the stage in this condition, they don't go anywhere. They actually remain here in another vibratory frequency, and those frequencies be instigators. I mean, they're the ones that are in the environment always whispering in your ear, meaning their voice is like a whisper. It's like your thought, but it's not your own thought. It's a thought against your will,
saying what? Change into this.
You see, so this is like we have to wake up, bring all this stuff centralized, eat it. Because, take your medicine, sometimes it's bitter, and then get into your 9, meaning get into your perpetual mode and get ready to blast off. Because, it's already going on above the speed of light. They're already together. None of the entities are warring anymore because they don't have separate identities. They're living through each other omnisciently. There's no loss, only gain. And I'll explain that. The last thing that people remember, some people, they've been falsely told that once you get into this higher stage of consciousness, then you lose all your memories and all your lifestyle and whoever you thought you were. Quite the contrary, my friend. You actually gain the ability to have enough amplification to project yourself through all the entities that you have the power to amplify through. That's what, again, the power of the subjective plane is because everything here is created from it. So it feels everything based on the creations that exist here. That's the position that we want to be. We give now rather than take. And then what's created from what we give, we live through. That's it.
Brother, I have to thank you again for coming on here and imparting the wisdom that you do have. And I'm getting it. I have a couple.
I just want to take this time to give a special thanks to my intuition, or God, or my kids. I want them to remember what I told them. if they ever got sad or upset, that not to worry. Turn that frown upside down. Just like your father. Just like I had to. It's like in life, you have a choice, right? But then sometimes they take the choice from you. And then they take the choice from you. And they think that they choose whether you do or you don't. That's I don't understand that. Like, that doesn't make, like, I'm trying to understand all this, and it's really, messing my head up. How bad the system is. This system. It's funny, today when I went to the courthouse, right? They said, you gotta sign this paper saying you cannot put this on YouTube. Oh, man. Ugh. Man, you gotta, it's so, like, unexplainable to me why you think, for whatever reason it is, that it's okay for you to say that I can't see my kids. Like, I'm trying to figure it out. I'm really am. I'm trying to figure it out. Like, so, if anybody can help me try to figure it out a little better, I would greatly appreciate it. I got court on the 9th of April. Broward County. It's not even my court day. That's the thing, though. You understand? It's not even my court day. It's my kids' court date So, yeah. April 9th. Yeah. April 9th. My name is Truthfulness. I was born April 14th, 1986. I don't even remember what time. But that's what they told me. And the entity name they chose, Mark Scott Rudnick. Fast forward 32 years. Here we are. Almost 33 to the day. You guys want to talk about energy and electricity with me? I would love to. I would love for anybody to see me connect. 'Cause it's magic. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's magic. People on a lower frequency, or vibration or whatever you want to call it. I just call it negative, but they won't ever understand until they just get, penetrated hard enough where they're just like, oh my God. You know what I mean? Like, but it's okay. Hey, listen, I still pray for you. I still love you. I still love, well, we're all one in essence, just individualized. for us all to experience something of the whole, and all the missing pieces, and all the secrets, you know? It's just crazy how much time that, my kid's mother spends in finding evidence to keep me away from her kids, right? I mean, her and her boyfriend's kids. Like, you see what happens when I start connecting? When I start connecting the electricity between, right now, I guess it's just myself, because nobody's talking to me, which is perfect, because this is where I want to get it. So, time, you're going to say, it's fucking 6:10 in the morning. What is he doing up? Oh, let's see, in about an hour we got to go drop grandma off at the... Oh, wait a minute. Why are you worrying about that? All I know is you're going to hear a lot more of me. That's all I know. And I hope you guys like it. Because it don't always be my voice. But it will always be me. You better believe it. And here's our next piece for the day.
And also Facebook Live on and popping again.
You know it, Facebook Live-in, YouTubing, rolling, even a little doodling.
Our knowledge is collective. We are all building something here. And when another person assesses what another man and woman may have learned or experienced, we add that to our experience. And then we formulate an entirely different outlook on the reality. And we innovate. That's what I want the key word to be tonight. We innovate. We take every single thing that we have at our disposal and all the knowledge that we know to be the truth, and then we decide what we're going to do. Our disposal on the key word to be tonight. We innovate. We take every single thing that we have at our disposal and all the knowledge that we know to be the truth, and then we decide
the truth.
Thing that we have at our disposal and all the knowledge that we know to be the truth, and then we decide
the truth.
What we're going to do. But the reason why I want this
and then decide
to be a very serious message is because you have to realize where exactly you are on the plane, which I'm going to elaborate on tonight, and you have to realize what can and cannot be done in this world, and the extent of that, especially based upon what you've already been able to achieve or accomplish in this reality. What is that the people that we and the beings that we are being victimized by are victimizing because they understand a certain higher law. They have on top of the real knowledge, then everything is going to be pretty much misinterpreted. So tonight, what has to be done is more of a balanced interpretation of what symbolism means. And this is most important because any symbol, whether you're looking at it from the left hemisphere or the right hemisphere of your consciousness, is going to take you down a certain direction and have you perceiving things from that hemisphere. But you can only really absorb that symbol and absorb that depth of reality if you see it balanced. So if there's anything that you ever wanted to ask for, like the one wish, if they say if you have one wish in the world, what would you want to wish for? Wish to be balanced, because with balance everything can be achieved. With imbalance, you'll go nowhere. Our world is an example. We're living in a world where when people try to expand beyond the normal state of consciousness, there is constant minion behavior, meaning all sorts of porks and problems with the systems, ghosts in the machine, all sorts of things that are created from out of there to block or impede the message and to impede expansion. And the reason that is because it's something that we're doing. We have it hard-coded in our minds now, failure. and that we have now given up because we think that who's in control of the reality has some great power. They're just aware of certain things, and that's what I want to bring tonight. I want to bring the awareness of certain spaces that once you have this knowledge, this is it tonight. Once you have this knowledge, it's on you now. It's not on president, judge, law book, language, God even. It's not on any of that. It's on your soul. And that's what needs to be also elaborated upon in this conversation is the difference between a soul and a human, which is a physical vessel. So let's get right into this. I want to first start off by saying we're going to go for a brand new innovative approach. Because the way that we're approaching spirituality right now in the consciousness of the soul, at the rate in which this planet is decaying, it will not suffice where we need to go with this. We need to get to a point where we realize that all what we've collected thus far has still not given us the ability to shape, mold, and fashion the reality into a balanced sphere of beauty, something that we can see all the time and begin to have an energetic, positive, intimate relationship with. Meaning that if you can't go into your room, into your bedroom, or into your kitchen, or onto the radio or onto the phone and have a generating experience that gives you energy, then you will die. Because every single avenue that you go to is pulling energy. So this innovative approach is about us. It's about creating an organic grid out of individuals. The only ones that are really real, the only ones that have all the equipment is us. Now there's certain things that you need to understand about this equipment known as the human body, which is based on 5. And I'm also, I need to be aware of the time here very briefly, just so I can condense my message to the time that's actually remaining. I just have to get that in my chat box. Somebody can just tell me how much time is left in the show. That would really help.
We have
let me see, we have about
Okay, great. How much of the recording time can other people hear again that have
about an hour 50.
well, no, that would be, yeah.
About an hour 50.
Once the recording, the only ones who can continue listening are ones that are actually on the call, so that won't be very many. So
We're on the call for.
Okay, great.
We're over here on the call.
Okay, so what this is about is this is again about a new approach. This is about changing the effects of when a society believes that God or the Supreme Being is outside of them. Now we're living in a reality where people by the masses believe that who God is some being that's aloft somewhere not paying attention. This is a grave problem because the state of our reality and the power that we have as each individual is still based on our idea of what the supreme is. So our highest state and concept is a word that everyone is calling God. That is the highest that they can think of. And so because of that, and because that is the highest level of ambition that a person can achieve here in this reality, that is why we have such a great level of failure in the reality as far as how much energy each individual can push out. Because if anyone is cracked into this knowledge thus far, you know that you are the God, you are the soul, you are the supreme being. So now we look at a reality where
you guys
we are
ain't gonna like
pulling
that.
energy from something external that has died a long time ago. And that's why the name for God is generally Deus, Dios, meaning to divide, something that is already
You
dead.
guys ain't gonna like that shit either. But we might have to change this up. Cause they're getting too good, Steve. Just keep going with it. You sure? You put it back online. Cause that is some gasolina. You know what I mean? Teleportina. Oye, mamacita. Fuck that.
This is a great problem because the state of our reality and the power that we have as each individual is still based on our idea of what the supreme is.
Ooh, no, he's not, man. Stop it.
That depth of reality, if you see it balanced. So if there's anything that you ever wanted to ask for, like the one wish, if they say if you have one wish in the world, what would you want to wish for? Wish to be balanced, because with balance, everything can be achieved. With imbalance, you'll go nowhere. Our world is an example. We're living in a world where when people try to expand beyond the normal state of consciousness, there is constant minion behavior, meaning all sorts of quirks and problems with the systems, ghosts in the machine, all sorts of things that are created from out of thin air to block or impede the message and to impede expansion. And the reason that is because it's something that we're doing. We have it hard-coded in our minds now, failure, and that we have now given up because we think that who's in control of the reality has some great power. They're just aware of certain things, and that's what I want to bring tonight. I want to bring the awareness of certain spaces that once you have this knowledge, this is it tonight. Once you have the knowledge, it's on you now. It's not on president, judge, law book, language, God even. It's not on any of that. It's on your soul. And that's what needs to be also elaborated upon in this conversation is the difference between a soul and a human, which is a physical vessel. So let's get right into this. I want to first start off by saying we're going to go for a brand new innovative approach. Because the way that we're approaching spirituality right now in the consciousness of the soul, at the rate in which this planet is decaying, it will not suffice where we need to go with this. We need to get to a point where we realize that all of what we've collected thus far has still not given us the ability to shape, mold, and fashion the reality into a balanced sphere of beauty. Something that we can see all the time and begin to have an energetic, positive, intimate relationship with. Meaning that if you can't go into your room, into your bedroom, or into your kitchen, or onto the radio, or onto the phone, and have a generating experience that gives you energy, then you will die. Because every single avenue that you go to is pulling energy. So this innovative approach is about us. It's about creating an organic grid out of individuals, the only ones that are really real. Body, which is based on 5. And I'm also free to be aware of the time here very briefly, just so I can get my message into the time that's actually remaining.
We have an hour before we go into the recording, so you're fine.
Okay, great. How much of the recording time do other people here get that have called in?
Well, so that's the thing. Yeah, once it goes into recording, the only ones that can continue listening are the ones that are actually on the call.
That's
but
us.
That won't be very many, but try to get it in before then, that'd be okay.
Okay, great. Okay, so what this is about is again about a new approach. This is about changing the effects of when a society believes that God or the supreme being is outside of them. Now we're in a reality where people by the masses believe that who God is some being that's aloft somewhere, not paying attention. This is a grave problem because the state of our reality and the power that we have as each individual is still based on our idea of what the supreme is. So our highest state and concept is a word that everyone is calling God. That is the highest that they can think of. And so because of that, and because that is the highest level of ambition that a person can achieve here in this reality, that is why we have such a great level of failure in the reality as far as how much individuals push out. Because if anyone has cracked into this knowledge thus far, you know that you are the God, you are the soul, you are the supreme being. So now we look at a reality where they are pulling energy from something external that has died a long time ago. And that's why the name for God is to divide, something that is already dead. God does not live in the world. God lives somewhere else, mainly in heaven. Heaven is more like a dream world, somewhere you go after you die. Once that energy is trapped and taken from them, they then start to worship and wander after things that are not the truth, trying to find their life. They're wandering after glimmers of what may be the truth, but it's not the complete truth. So tonight we want to get into the complete truth, but the only way that we can do that is for a person to realize that you are caught up in the hemispheres of your consciousness. You're either going on the right brain, positive, negative, or the left brain, positive or negative. But as you volley the thoughts back and forth to what you think is good and okay, this is the constant state that you're in, from thought to thought to thought to thought. And this is somewhat of a very imaginative principle, because not much gets accomplished when you're just going from thought to thought to thought. Things get accomplished when you start to focus. Now, if you notice, when you say focus, you can also immediately think of almost like a vortex in itself, almost like a straight line within itself, because focus snaps things back together. It says, this is exactly what I need to do. So if you saw that, especially in your brain, that would be the focus telescope. That is the area that is in between the two hemispheres of your brain. The reason why this area is so important is because it is responsible for bridging the thoughts between the left and the right brain, because they speak a different language. So if the human being has a corpus callosum which is mainly burned out, this means that the bridge in your area is burned. The bridge in your brain is burned. Now, you know how they have that saying that says, you shouldn't burn bridges. This is where that saying comes from, is that the bridge in your head between the left and the right is burned. They're no longer communicating with each other. Now, this bridge is known also in the Nordic tradition as Bifrost. It's known in our times, of course, as the corpus callosum through science. It's known as the rainbow bridge through the indigenous cultures. And this is because it has the ability to merge all of the...
Enough. I just want my kids in my life. I just want to be able to talk to my kids. And you make... Again, I'm going to ask one more time. Can you just try to explain to me why you think it matters? What gives you the right to keep my kids from me? Like, I just don't understand how the system is so bad. Like, I'm trying to figure out what's going on here. Like, so, cause what, like, you understand what I'm saying? Like, you're telling me that my in the system and the wait a minute, let me get this straight. So Kathleen, so you're telling me that because you're afraid for your life, so I can't talk to you literally, and then you're making up this story in your head with these assumptions that are so outrageous that I had to lose my job over these restraining orders that you think I'm over here. Yeah, now I'm talking about you because now I got to get the ball rolling. Because it's about my kids, Kathleen. Our kids. Or I thought they were our kids. I mean, I don't know whose kids they are anymore. Because you think you can control when I see them because of what? A psycho or a... Are you serious? Like, are you serious? Like, if you think that I'm just going to lay down again and let you just walk right over me with my kids holding your hand? Oh, Lord. Father God, please come down from the heavens if you haven't already. And just please, Father, I beg of you, should I put the video on now? I mean, listen. Father God, please come down and put that holy something in her. Because she needs help, man. My kids need help. Forget about her. But I see, that's the thing. I know God already took care of them. So.
Colors of the chakras to put things in balance. And so if I come to tell you today that there is a new position opening up in the galaxy, one that will fulfill your desires of astral current. It is a walker of the Bifrost, one who can cross over the rainbow bridge. This is the same concept of one who is in between both worlds, or can go between two worlds. This is one who moves in the alpha frequency. What is the alpha frequency? See, most people think that the more hertz you have in the body, the more power you have. Not true. The lower the hertz, the more the brain and the organs and the factories and
just for the record, Kathleen, you think I'm not over here studying all day? Because I don't go on my YouTube no more. Yeah, listen, man, this is truthfulness. Signing in from right here. Gabriel Grace Gage from right here, YouTube. Gabriel Grace Gage from my Facebook. And before I leave,